Welcome back. We now turn our focus to member statements in the National Assembly. The leader of the official opposition, Ms. Lindiwe Mazibuko, has questioned the executive's commitment to uphold the Constitution. She has also questioned the right of the executive to review the decisions of another arm of state, namely the Judiciary. COPE's Julie Kilian was equally concerned by remarks made by the ANC Chief Whip, Motshekga, in this regard. The Minister of Science and Technology came to the defense of the President. Let's take a look.
President Zuma's remarks last week to the effect that his government intends to review the powers of the Constitutional Court are not only a serious affront to the principle of the separation of powers, but also undermine public confidence in the executive's commitment to uphold the Constitution. The Minister of Justice and Constitutional Development, the Honourable Jeff Radebe, has already set out plans to, quote, review the impact of Constitutional Court decisions over the past 17 years. How is it that the executive can initiate a review of the decisions of another arm of state when it has itself been the subject of some of these decisions? We have been told that a research institute will conduct the review, but what measures will be put in place to ensure it is an unbiased process? And what does Minister Radebe plan to do with the information which is collected? Indeed, why is this review needed in the first place? Madam Deputy Speaker, the government has a duty to uphold the principle of the separation of powers and to respect the independence of the judiciary. And if the source of unhappiness is the occasions on which judicial rulings have taken the executive to task, then the solution, Madam Deputy Speaker, is to amend the executive's conduct and not the powers of the court.
In an interview and report published 2 days ago on Sunday, the Chief Whip of the National Assembly, Dr. Motshekga, again tried to justify government's focused campaign to undermine the independence of the judiciary. He made some profound statements, such as that certain people wanted to hand over the powers of Parliament and President Zuma to the courts, that South Africa was being transformed into a one-party state with unelected people at the helm, that President Zuma's recent statement that government wanted to review the powers of the Constitutional Court was not unconstitutional or out of order, but that such statements were simply a reflection of public concern over the powers of the courts. He also said that for most people it appeared, and I quote, for most people it appeared that government had to ask the permission of the courts before it did anything, although government derived its mandate from the people while the courts comprised of a handful of appointed people. He also said elements who used the courts for their narrow interest and to prevent transformation were totally out of order, and that political parties run to courts to challenge bills before Parliament. The Congress of the People realized that the ANC Chief Whip is spearheading the campaign on behalf of certain elements in the ANC, a campaign to change the constitution of our country. Our concerns are that his statements are irreconcilable with the principle of the separation of powers that underlies the Constitution. And we want to warn that such statements coming from a person who holds a senior position in this party, in the governing party, and in the National Assembly can scare off foreign investment. COPE calls on the Deputy President to reaffirm his government and the President's commitment as head of state to uphold and defend the Constitution.
I think it's absolutely important that when we wish to present statements to the House, we don't in any way impute bad faith on any individual who sits in this House, nor any statement made by a member of the executive or of this House. The President very clearly stated in his reply last week that the intention of government is to review decisions that are germane to the executive and its exercise of power in terms of national and other legislation that has been subject of rulings by the Constitutional Court. I did not hear him refer to reviewing the powers of the Constitutional Court in his reply. He referred to decisions and an assessment of government as to how those have impacted on policy and what lessons we as the executive must derive from that review.
The liquor regulators in South Africa are to meet soon to devise a strategy against alcohol abuse. This was said by the Minister of Trade and Industry in response to an ANC member statement on underage drinking in South Africa. The member welcomed the launch of an integrated strategy by the Department of Trade and Industry, the South African Breweries, and the National Youth Development Agency to tackle the problem of underage drinking.
The campaign is called You Decide, was launched in Durban and targets drinking by children under the age of 18, but may also be extended to include those that are 21 years of age. Statistics shows that 25% of teenagers drink because they are bored, while about 45% drink because they are depressed. Whatever the causes, it is a ticking time bomb and extremely dangerous. There are a high number of teenagers seeking help at crisis centers, clinics and police stations for, amongst others, sexual violence, physical abuse, STDs and pregnancies, most of which have occurred while they have been drinking. Any integrated solution which must involve parents, schools and the youth is therefore encouraging.
Let me also say I welcome the remarks that were made about underage drinking. I think that was a very important campaign. And I should just say that the question of alcohol abuse in this country is no small matter. Half the unnatural deaths that we have in this country, road accidents and violent crime, are as a result of abuse either of alcohol or drugs. And I can just say that the liquor regulators will be meeting in the very near future with their counterparts in the provinces to devise a much more holistic strategy to deal with this curse of alcohol abuse. Thank you very much.
The problem of school bullies is also on the increase. That's our story after the break. Stay with us.